Yet here's the unanswered question so far. Was Nabal going to get away with this? He clearly was opposed to God by being opposed to David, and the way he handled David was completely ungodly. So was Nabal going to get away with this? I mean, David was going to go take care of it. No, I got to trust you, God. Was Nabal going to get away with it? David's like, man, I trusted you with Saul. Can I trust you with Nabal? Well, watch what God did. He used Abigail again in a way. Starting in verse 36. Abigail came to Nabal. Behold, he was holding a feast in his house, like the feast of a king. That's just pride, right? A lot of money, thought he was king. And Nabal's heart was merry within him. He was very drunk. And so she told him nothing at all till the morning light. In the morning, when the wine had gone out of Nabal, his wife told him these things, and his heart died within him, and he became as a stone. And about 10 days later, the Lord struck Nabal, and he died. See that? God worked it out. David didn't even have to lift a finger. In fact, that's what David says next in verse 39. When David heard that Nabal was dead, he said, "Blessed be the Lord who has avenged the insult I received at the hand of Nabal and has kept back his servant," meaning David, God kept me back from wrongdoing. "The Lord has returned the evil of Nabal on his own head." David's like, God did this. God delivered me. See, it might be a little hard to understand or difficult to see in this passage, but the point that's being made is that God is sovereign and he has a purpose in redemption. He has a purpose in working out the deliverance of his people. He will always accomplish his plan. Now, here's the thing, on our side of that, the timing might not always work out like we think it should. Even the mechanism God uses, the application of that may not be what we would selfishly want. Like, it would have felt really good for David to walk into Nabal's camp and just slaughter them. It would have been the absolute wrong thing to do. But that's what David would have preferred. But what we have to do is trust God's promise that he's working it out. And he will. Because remember, for David, the Lord had promised David that he was going to be the king. And he was going to eventually put all of David's enemies down before him. And so David has this opportunity to do it to Saul, to do it in Nabal. Next week, we'll see him again with Saul. David had the opportunities, and he had to trust God's timing and God's ways there. This scene is a reminder of that for David. Abigail completely understood that for David in many ways. She was like, David, you're going to be the king. We know that. And David, all your enemies are going to be down before you. That's fine, but you can't take justice in your own hands. You've got to remember that, David. You can't do that. You cannot work out salvation in your own hands. And what did David do? Whenever he heard of Nabal's death, he was reminded again that that's what God does. And just think of the encouragement it would have given him, knowing that Saul was still out there somewhere, coming after him. God said, you can trust me. He did with Nabal. God took care of Nabal. And so David's like, all right, God, I'll trust you with Saul.